All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Rosemary's Baby goes back to the future. As many elements of both of these movies cross over, I'm going to demonstrate that to you today. The whole Biff Tannin, the 10:04 on the clock tower. Now, I want to give a caveat before we get into the content today. First of all, I'll be showing you clips from the film, but I've left out all of the disturbing clips, so you don't have to worry about that. And I want to also give the caveat that nowhere in here am I making any claims about who is what in terms of the Antichrist. All I'm doing is showing you the continuity, the crossovers, the common theme that seems to relate to almost exactly what's happening right now in our present timeline. So that's the purpose of this, to show you evidence, and you have to decide for yourself who the Antichrist is, or if the movie even applies to the Antichrist, and so on and so forth. And this is where you go in prayer and you ask God for answers, or maybe God won't reveal this yet. We don't know. But all we can do is look at their content and see what they're proposing and what they've shown us. And this is where we're drawing our conclusions and connections from. Let's get into this, you guys. So, of course, I finally screened Rosemary's Baby, front to back. And I also decoded the prequel, which is Apartment 7A, that just released this year. We'll cover both of those today. And let me just say, I am completely floored. And at first, I was like kicking myself because I was upset that I hadn't decoded this sooner. We had talked about Rosemary's Baby, but I had never watched it front to back. But then I realized that everything in this film is pointing forward, or was pointing forward, to precisely this point in history. As you're going to see next, the number 79 comes up, which is Trump's current age, as well as the conception date of the Antichrist that Rosemary gives birth to. His name is Adrian, which sounds like Damien, doesn't it? But his conception date is 10/4, October 4th, which has 88 days left in the year. And this is the Back to the Future connection to Rosemary's Baby, the clock tower, the 88 miles an hour. And this really confirms that possession is, in fact, time travel. That's what it is. It's demons hopping bodies down through time. The clock tower struck 10:04, and then Marty drove 88 miles an hour to jump through time. Many of you will remember the crump at precisely that point on the marquee of the movie theater in the backdrop. Crump. It was like a pastor. And also, many of you will remember there was fire and ice. The DeLorean laid fire tracks, and then when it jumped through time, it laid ice tracks. All of this is happening right now. Let's unpack this film because you may be a little confused, but I'm going to break all this down for you. So, this is Rosemary on the right, played by Mia Farrow. And her and her husband, and he's an actor, they move into a building in New York. And this senior couple, here's the woman here, they force their way into Mia Farrow's life, into Rosemary's life. And they secretly seduce Rosemary's husband into allowing the cult to drug Rosemary and to allow the devil to impregnate her. And the husband does this because he's given the promise of fame. So he starts getting roles and things like this. Now, here was my first clue. When I started screen recording for this video, because I don't just decide I'm going to do a decode on something, I start screening it, and then I see if there's enough evidence to present back to you guys. So here was the first clue. Let me check with you guys and we'll start getting into this. My goodness. Are you guys ready? Let's do this. Here was the first clue.
It's lovely, but I can't accept it.
You'll get used to the smell before you know her.
It's lovely.
Hey, the green inside is called Tannis root. That's for good luck. Oh.
So the witch gives Rosemary Tannis root, as you just saw. I've also got the subtitles on here in case you can't hear very well, because I know it's a bad recording from that age of movies, but it's Tannis root inside of this globe. Now, this was my first clue because I had heard this before, this whole Tannis aspect. Remember our Biff Tannin videos that we did, and we figured out that Biff Tannin was actually based off of Trump. The very makers of Back to the Future said that Biff Tannin was based on Trump back when he was only a millionaire. Remember this? And remember, we looked up Biff Tannin's name and we realized that literally his name meant a demon. This is Biff Bifrons, a demon. The Lesser Keys of Solomon. He actually looks like a clown demon. And this is Tannin from ancient mythology. It's a sea monster in Canaanite and Hebrew mythology. It looks like a hydra clown demon. Now, back then, it seemed like a stretch. Biff Tannin, that his name came out of that. But now you're seeing this Tannin repeated as basically this is a good luck charm. It also keeps her under mind control so they can manipulate her. Now, I looked all this up because I wanted to know what this Tannis root was. And it's actually not a real thing. It's actually based off of the mandragora plant, is what the movie notes say, also known as mandrake. And this has all these psychedelics in it. It's found in the Mediterranean. It's found in Israel. And it's actually illegal because it's so powerful. It's a hallucinogen. So essentially, they made up a name. They could have easily just called it a mandragora in the movie, but they called it Tannis because they know about Biff Tannin. Or Tannin anyway, or Tannis the demon. Now, even at this point, I probably wouldn't have put together a decode for you guys today because I needed further proof and connections. So I just kept watching the movie, and then I saw this. Watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's good luck, too. What happens now?
Very little. You come see me next month.
When will it be?
It works out to be June 28th.
That sounds so far away.
It is.
Yeah.
So Rosemary's due date is June 28th. So of course, I plug it into the pregnancy calendar, right? To see when the conception date is. Because remember, there's the date of birth and the date of conception. You got to back out the weeks to find out when the child was conceived, when the sperm met the egg. And of course, it's October 4th with 88 days left in the year. Now, it's funny because as soon as the doctor told her the 28th of June, I went and basically plugged it into the calculator before even finishing the scene. And then she walks up to the calendar and there you see October 4th on the calendar. So I should have just let the scene play out, but this is how I do my research. I'm trying to give you guys a snapshot into how I research these films so you know that none of it is random. I'm simply investigating. Think of it that way. So she looks on the calendar and literally October 4th is circled with 88 days left in the year, another Back to the Future connection. Now, Back to the Future, of course, had not been made yet when this movie came out. This is like almost a prequel to Back to the Future, if you want to think of it that way. All of this is connected. All of it is connected. Time travel was discovered in the movie Back to the Future on the witch's calendar date of Samhain, the 5th of November. This is when Doc Brown discovered time travel. It's literally a date on the witch's calendar. Now, why did the witches choose this date? Well, it's when the veil is lowest, they say, and possession can happen. And Doc Brown in the movie says that he invented time travel on a toilet. Now, it took us a while to figure that out, but then we realized that toilets are a spiral portal of the unclean spirits, defecation. And that's what he was really saying. A throne of unclean spiral portal defecation. And the 88 days left, that's a portal number. And that's what allowed the Antichrist to be birthed in the film. Now, you're not going to hear this information pretty much anywhere else because this is inspired by the Holy Spirit so that you can see through these films instead of just watching them and being programmed by them. You can actually understand what's really happening. God does not want you to stay in darkness about the truth. He wants his people prepared for what's coming, prepared for the truth about the people that control this world, who write all these films. So you got it right. Back to the Future wasn't just an innocent film about time travel. No, it was steeped in the occult. So if you want to criticize me for watching Rosemary's Baby to decode it, well, then you need to criticize yourself for liking and loving Back to the Future because they're all connected. Now, next, we're going to get a mold and fungus connection. And we've been talking about this for about the last 5 years, haven't we? Let's watch the scene first, and then I'll explain to you what's going on.
Tannis, I must look it up in the encyclopedia. What a pretty holder, a charm, or whatever it is. Doesn't look like root matter, more like mold or fungus of some kind.
So when did we start talking about the mold connection? Well, it was back in 2021. And there was a TV show called Archive 81. Many of you will remember it. It was our first clue about mold being present when portals open. Remember, a portal opened in the basement of the building, and all of a sudden the building got possessed, and all this black mold started growing on the walls. In Archive 81, we did a full decode on that series, and then the rest was history, because soon after that, the CDC announced that Candida was a new epidemic. Then after that came the Last of Us TV show about fungus infecting and mind controlling people and causing a zombie apocalypse. One of the number one shows on TV right now. Now, at this point, I probably still wouldn't have done a decode on Rosemary's Baby unless I got to this part of the movie. So I kept watching and I was just carefully recording everything, writing everything down, putting together my show notes. And this is when I knew that this movie was pointing all the way forward to now. The film released on 666, June 12th. Six, six, six. And a few years later, the Omen films would release on these 88 and 666 dates. The Omen films. June 6th, 06 was one of the Omen films, and then the original released on June 6th in 1976. So the two films are connected, aren't they? Now, let's go back to this part here. Oh. Now, June 25th is also an important date. It is the date that is 88 days after the 88th day of the year. That is another portal date. And don't get too consumed with the numbers. What I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that the release dates of these films absolutely mean everything. They're essentially markers to signify either 666 or the portal date of 88. Now, to show the connection between the Omen films and Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow, who played Rosemary, she was given a role in the 2006 film. So now that we know about the 66s, let's take a look at this next part. Remember, the film released in 68, but yet it's all about 1966.
To 1966, the year one.
Now, they call 1966 year one, and that probably means because it is the year that the Antichrist is birthed in the movie. So they call it year one, the beginning of the end times, right? Now, they're obviously at a New Year's Eve party here. And so this is basically the birthday, not the actual birthday, but the year in which the Antichrist is born.
1886, his son.
Now, we know that the number 66 is the Trump twin number. It's the Gemini number. And Trump was 20 years old in 1966. 20 years old. And he's now 79 years old. Well, watch this part. So we got two elements, two dates that connect to Trump's life. Listen to this.
1886, his son Stephen was born. 1886, got it? That makes him 79 now. No coincidence.
Trump's age now. As Rosemary starts figuring things out because people around her start dying. People that have been trying to warn her, they end up dead or dying. And she's given this book on the occult, and she starts reading it, trying to figure out what is going on. And she's pregnant in the scene, so she's starting to get scared as she's piecing everything together. She then discovers that the couple next door are a coven of witches, and that the old man who's the leader is 79 years old. That's what she just said, which is Trump's age now. Now, her due date, the June 28th, is also the 179th day of the year. That confirms the 79 connection. Watch.
Look. And look here. There he is when he was 13.
Now, he was 13 in 1899. I did the math on that. So there's another 99, 66.
See the eyes?
Here's the June 28th, the 179th day of the year. Her due date. Trump is 79. Let's keep watching because we're going to hear the numbers 33 and 66.
It was published in 1933. There were covens in Europe. That's what they're called. His father was a martyr to it. You know how he died?
Honey, it's 1966.
Now, Rosemary finally figures the whole thing out. She figures out that her husband's in on it. And she goes to confront her OBGYN. But she realizes that the OBGYN is in on it as well. And as she's sitting in the waiting room, she opens up Time magazine. And the cover says, "Is God Dead?" Now, this is a real Time magazine cover from 1966. So I dug deeper. Let's watch.
See you then. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Good luck.
I looked it up. This is God Dead from 1966. You're not going to believe this. This is the 50-year anniversary from the cover. And they covered it in 2016 was the 50-year anniversary of this cover. 2016. the year that Trump was first elected president. Now, I put all this together for you in a timeline that we're going to look at in a second here, so you can understand this, because this fits like a puzzle. 50 years. Look at the date of the cover, April 8th, which is the 99th day of the years when that cover came out. Last year, there was a solar eclipse. The year that Trump won the second term. First term, 50 years after second term. 66 years after 1958. There's a time loop here, isn't there? Let's take a look at the whiteboard. I put this together. Spent a lot of time on this decode, as you can see. I wanted to make sure that all this was documented. This is the Rosemary's Baby Trump presidency timeline matrix. And here you see 1958, 1966, which is the setting, the year of Rosemary's Baby in the film. Trump is 20 years old. God is Dead time cover on the 99th day, April 8th. There are 8 years between 58 and 66. Then we fast forward 58 years after 1958. That brings us to 2016, when Trump was first elected, and the 50th year after God is Dead time cover. 8 years later, we had the 2024 eclipse, the year that Trump was re-elected. The eclipse was on April 8th, the 99th day of the year. The same as the time cover in 1966. You can't make this up. There's 8 years on either end, almost like a bookend. 8 and 8 is 88. Trump numbered his tower, 58 and 66 stories tall. He knew he would win 58 years after 1958 and 66 years after 1958. How did he know this back in 1983 to number Trump Tower with those numbers? It's because he's ancient. Now I'll put a link to this, or I'll post it somewhere. Maybe I'll post it on the post tab right here on the channel, so you can see this with your own eyes. This shouldn't make sense, you guys. This shouldn't all fit together like this, should it? The eclipses, the 66, the 58s, the 88s. It should not fit together like this. Now, let's keep going. Now, one thing I forgot to add to this timeline, and this will help put things in perspective for you. Trump's grandmother died right here in 1966 on June 6th. Elizabeth Christ Trump, June 6, 66. Remember, the later Omen movies would release on her date of death on June 6th. Actually, June 12th. I get confused myself with some of these dates. June 6th. Sorry. Now, how is this possible? This suggests the date that his grandmother died suggests, and remember, her middle name was Christ, Elizabeth Christ Trump. This is the year 1 of the Antichrist in the movie. Now, Trump was 22 years old when the film came out in 1968, and his grandmother died 22 days before the Antichrist was born in the movie. Now, for those of you that are still on the fence with all this, because you just think it's a bunch of gobbledygook numbers that don't make any sense, I'm going to show you the clincher. Earlier in the film, Rosemary was playing Scrabble with her husband. And on the board, we literally see warp speed clown. Now understand that later in the film, she's given a book, and the guy dies, of course, but he gives her a book to try to show her the truth. And he tells her that it's an anagram, that the title is an anagram. In other words, you're supposed to scramble it. We are looking at a scramble board, so let's scramble the words. Warp, draw. Deep, speed. Clown. Now let me spell it out for you. This is insane. Warp speed, draw deeps. Now we had discovered this years ago, didn't we? Back when Trump launched warp speed. I showed you the warp speed logo. I showed you that it was an occult logo that was chosen. Everybody gave Trump a pass. They said he didn't make the logo. His people did. He didn't make the V word. His people did. I said, no, the symbol is a Reiki symbol for consciousness. And the guy that Trump hired for warp speed is a New Ager. And we showed clips of all that. Well, here we are now, aren't we? Now there's other stuff in this image. It's not just that. Homer. Of course, Homer wrote the Trojan horse story. There's even the reaving portal, which is sever backwards, severing our crown, and the reaving portal, which is the syringe that allowed the black inky black inky snake eels under our skin. And there's probably more in this image as well, with some of these words that can be scrambled. Just let me show you all of this. There's debit, there's audits, kazoo, ideas. I don't know what that says. But this is crazy. Grainy, Io. Io is a moon, I believe, of Saturn, maybe. So there are other words on here, but those are the ones that I pulled out. Pretty crazy, right? So I decided to look at the prequel. Now this just came out this year. This is called Apartment 7A. And I wanted to see if there were any Trump connections. Now, the movie follows a woman named Terry Giannoffrio. She's played by Julia Garner, who rose to fame from the Ozark TV series, is how she got famous. She played a really good role in the Ozark TV series. And so she's in this prequel to Rosemary's Baby. And they basically follow her. She's basically a victim of the witch's cult in the very same building just before Rosemary moves into the building. And they fail with this woman because she jumps out a window at the end, and they don't get their Antichrist baby. So then they go on to Rosemary after learning the lessons in the prequel. Now, I did my, I did my analysis on this, and I looked up Julia Garner. This is her here. You'll recognize her from Ozark. She was born on the 33rd day of the year, the eve of the 33rd day, with 333 days left in the year. And in the movie, she's an aspiring actress or dancer, I guess you could say. She's an aspiring dancer. And she makes a deal with the devil, but she doesn't realize it. She becomes pregnant, and they give her a lead in the play called The Pale Crook is the name of the play. And so I looked that up, and The Pale Crook is based on a real musical called The Black Crook. The Black Crook is from 1866. You see all the 66s in here? I hope you're starting to understand this. This is The Black Crook, and this was known as the very first Broadway musical ever, is what it is credited with in terms of musicals. Now, the main witch in this film is played by this woman right here. And you're not going to believe this. She was born on the eve of the 88th day of the year, and she is now 77 years old. They cast these roles to line up with the sorcery. Let me show you that. Wait, where's my... Hold on here. Is this her? Yes, this is her. Diane Weist, born on the eve of the 88th day, and she is now 77 years old. These are twinning numbers. Gemini, which means possession. Now, she manipulates Terry. This woman here manipulates Terry into having Satan's child. And in this next scene, she literally punishes Terry for not being grateful for all the sacrifices that Satan has done to give her roles. And look at what she does to her. Hope you're sitting down for this one.
I'd hand it to you on a silver platter. This is your big break. This is a role of a lifetime.
Shot through the right ear. All sliced. But you get it. We just covered another time travel film called Looper. And he is cut on the right ear as well. And a Band-Aid is on it. In the trailer for The Electric State, there's a cat shot through the right ear. And in the same scene, you see the flag of Iwo Jima being raised, just like exactly what would happen months after that trailer came out. In Butler, Pennsylvania, the cat shot through the ear and then raising the fist, the flag of Iwo Jima. Let's keep watching. So there you go. Nobody I know could make all this up. All the numbers fit. What does it all mean? Yes, the role of a lifetime. Plane Drifter completely understands. And the ear thing either was fake or it was a punishment. Ruth Gordon died at 88 years old. You guys have any questions? That's what I wanted to present to you today. I hope the whiteboard helped to conceptualize all this. Draw deep clown. Warp speed clown. Wow. What do you think the haircut means? Well, it was like some kind of ritual. No, oh, you mean the haircut, like why her hair got cut short. Well, there was alopecia. We all know that was a central theme of Warp Speed. Alopecia. And the hair cutting ritual. The Bible, it says in the Bible that a woman's hair is her glory. You're not supposed to like cut it all off. So it's basically defiance against God, is how it's represented in the Bible anyway. I understand people have to cut their hair for different reasons. God knows your heart. So if you have a problem where you're losing your hair, of course, you're going to have to cut it. You're not doing it as an act of defiance. But we also know that this is an act of defiance in some people's hearts to do this. And when she becomes pregnant, she cuts her hair. She says it's about Vidal Sassoon and it's a style. Vidal Sassoon was a prominent hairstylist. Snowball says, just like men have to do drag at some point. Yes, it's about the flipping of the genders. This is why God doesn't like it. Vidal Sassoon was part of, well, I can't really say it. There's a juice club, though. You can get a juice club card. So there's lots of overtones with the juice club in the movie. I found several connections. Buildings as well that are mentioned in the film, in the first film. So did all that come through loud and clear? I hope I didn't present that as some kind of gobbledygook, but I did the best that I could with the information I had, you guys. So I hope it came through loud and clear. To me, the Back to the Future connections are clear with the 10:04 on the calendar, the 10:04 date. Oh yes, Marika says the right ear. Wow, that is a very good connection there. Remember, the soldier cut off. Wait, how did it go? Oh no, the disciple cut off the ear of the soldier, and Jesus healed it. And he said, "If you live by the sword, you die by the sword." Now, interestingly, Jesus told the disciples to sell everything and buy a sword. Well, he wasn't talking about a real sword. Otherwise, that would have contradicted his rebuke of the disciple cutting the ear of the soldier off and telling him, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. What he was really saying is the sword is the word. The word. And all of this harkens back to a ritual, and it was a good ritual back in the ancient times, the 12 tribes, where they would slice the ear as basically a ritual to go into, I can't remember. Mine's going. Priesthood. It was a priesthood ritual. So what Trump did was mockery. Priesthood ritual was about slicing the ear and the toe. They would slice the ear and the foot. Many people noticed that Trump lost his shoe. So that fit in. Now, if you've ever seen the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, you'll remember the scene where he does the magic trick with the ear. Remember that? Well, that was mockery. I believe Christ was 40 when he was crucified. We did some research on that years and years ago. I understand that most people believe he was 33, but I believe the priesthood number, and we looked it up and we saw that the dates could fit in terms of history, historical record. He could have been crucified at 40 years old. All of it depends on when he was actually born, which there's a little bit of debate, plus or minus 2 years. But essentially, the 40-year-old virgin is Jesus. He was a 40-year-old virgin. And he does the magic trick where he takes the ear off of a child. That was the ear being cut off of the soldier. It was all mockery. He was basically performing a mock miracle in that scene. So that's a really good point that you bring up. Okay. Those who take the Nazarite vow shave the head to begin their 7-year vow. Yes. No, Trump is not a Melchizedek king priest. Nope. He wouldn't have made something that took out millions of Americans if he was. And all the other things that have happened. AI and all this stuff. AI is the devil. Literally, the devil speaks through AI and controls us through AI. Yeah, a lot of information today, right, Joey? That's why I'm kind of hanging back a bit so we can talk about it in case you guys have let the information sink in. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Rosemary was symbolic of Inanna Diana. Yes. Now, Snowball, who do you think? I think you said that you know or you believe you know who the Antichrist is. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. But if you got something you can share, we would love to hear it. That'd be cool. The Snowball was the one that really prompted me to take another look at Rosemary's Baby, which I'm glad I did because it fits into like right now. All right. Yeah, it's pretty obvious AI is the defeated one. But in this realm, he's the beast. And who can make war with the beast? Snowball says, call me. It's still detailed. Oh boy. I'm pretty busy today, but we'll reconnect soon. AI literally means demon, says Sheldon. Think of AI as the Wizard of Oz, right? The wizard behind the veil. We got through the whole movie of the Wizard of Oz, and they couldn't figure out who was pulling all the levers and controlling everything until the very end when they finally get to, what was it, the Emerald City? And behind it all, when they thought everything was just, random, which is what everyone believes, oh, yeah, it's just random. It's neither good nor bad. You finally look back there and there's a little man, a little demon pulling the controls. Well, that's what AI is. They can say anything they want through AI. Look at the Grok, ChatGPT on Twitter. Oh, Elon's getting all kinds of heat right now because people suspect that he was literally behind the ChatGPT telling it what to say to defend himself with all this Epstein stuff. Remember? So anyone can speak through these things. And they give us the illusion it's random, that it's fair, right? So Rock parrots Elon's opinions, yes. They place AI in the place of God. Exactly. The mocking of the inanimate carbon rod of the Simpsons. Remember, it was in space. Space, the rod saves us all. There's no place like home. After Leah gave her mandrakes to Rachel, she bore 2 more sons. Oh, wow. So that's in the Bible? The mandrake is? The root? The Tannis root? Seriously? Whoa. And you guys are smart. Can you confirm that? The mandrake. Grok just got a huge war account. Thanks, Margaret. Eric Weinstein works for Peter Thiel and kept fanboying on Elon. Called Elon a fairy pipe. Hoodoo. Oh, wow. We were just talking about the hoodoo. I swear these people watch this channel. Or maybe not. The root of the mandrake. Yes. Wow. Good job, Morgan. So there you go. Everything they do is to mock the Bible. Okay. Yes, the mandrake roots look like human bodies. Thanks, Julie. Yes, I probably should have mentioned that. Let's go back to the mandrake. I remember reading that they say that the root is in the shape of like a human body. It's in here in this article. I'll put links to all this for you guys. Great job. Mandrake is in the Bible when the sisters were fighting over their husband's bed. You know, it says in the Bible in the last days, there will be 10 women to one man. Is that crazy or what? Chasing down a hoodie. Yeah, you guys are smart. You guys are very well, biblically versed. You help me out. I know the Bible pretty well, but not like some of you. Now Trump called Matt Gaetz back to try to save him from the Epstein doc. This thing is going insane. What do you guys think is going to happen with all this? With Trump and this whole thing? I have no idea. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how they're going to twist this one. But things are getting really weird, aren't they? I think they'll flip it back to the Democrats. I think this will be the beginning of the end. This will be why Trump doesn't go for a third term. I have no idea who they would run on the Democrat side, but yeah. All right. There's a lot of flooding going on. Guess New Jersey is now flooded out. 66 books in the Bible. Yes, James. Interestingly, though, the original Bible has 88 books. Thanks, Marcy. You read my mind. Yeah. So the original Bible, the one that Jesus used, well, obviously the New Testament wasn't in Jesus' Bible, but the original Bible, after the New Testament was written, had 88 books. It wasn't until later that they removed 22 books. They said that they didn't jive with the rest of the Bible. Men decided that, not God. Men. So, okay. 22, yes. The Apocrypha. Enoch's one of those. Enoch was actually quoted in the book of Jude. Anytime, okay, let's put it this way. Anytime that a part of the Bible quotes a text that's not in the Bible, that quoted text should be included in the Bible, right? That just makes common sense. So we did a video looking at all the times Jesus himself quoted the book of Enoch. And it's somewhere between 12 and 14 times that Jesus' words reflected the book of Enoch. Same with Jude. Jude quoted the book of Enoch at least once or twice. So if Jude's included in the Bible, why would they exclude a book that he quoted? That doesn't make any sense to me. So now some people believe that Enoch contradicts scripture. It doesn't. It's how you interpret Enoch. If you interpret it the wrong way, then it seems like it's contradicting scripture. For instance, they give Jesus a different name or different descriptor in the book of Enoch. They don't call him Jesus. They call him like an ancient one or something like that. But it's Jesus that they're talking about. Jesus has many names. Redeemer. There are all kinds of capitalized names that Jesus is called in the New Testament and some in the Old Testament too, pointing forward to Jesus. So when he's given a different descriptor in the Book of Enoch, that doesn't mean that they're saying that there's a different savior than that there is. It's all in how you interpret it. So yes, there are several Enochs. There's an evil Enoch and there's a good Enoch. The evil Enoch was Cain's son. And Enoch built the first city. Well, Enoch was the first city. All right. Okay, you guys, I guess we're going to pop off here. That was a big show. Put links to all this. I love you guys. Thanks for showing up. And I'll probably see you tomorrow. We'll probably do a headline show tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Much love.